Hello and welcome to Knoxville, where Tennessee just took down Tarleton State 65-46. That score doesn't really tell the whole story. I'm Ryan Sylvia. This is Noah Taylor. We're with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. And Tennessee in the first half did fine, got the advantage they needed, but it was a completely different story in the second half. So before we get into our full thoughts on the game, let's look at that by the numbers a little bit. 15-2 run in the final 5 minutes is what's going to kind of make this score look better than it was. But before this, 19-11 in the favor of Tarleton State in the first 15 minutes of the second half. Tennessee scores their first points with 16 minutes and 12 seconds to go, so it took them almost 4 minutes to even put a point on the board in the second half. With 10:30 to go, they had just 5 points. Looking at their shooting percentages in the second half alone, 21.4% from the field, 14.3% on three-pointers. It wasn't pretty in the second half, but kind of interesting of note, Rick Barnes says going into the game, he kind of knew it was going to play out this way because of the aggression that Tarleton State plays with on defense, and he knew that this was a good team, a team that would give Tennessee some issues and hopefully prepare them for SEC play. So, all right, first half, great final 5 minutes of the second half, but those first 15 minutes of the second half were pretty brutal, at least on the offensive end. I'll swing it to you right now, Noah, though. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, Dalton Connect. He's looked a little bit more human, I guess, the last couple of games for Tennessee. Didn't have a big offensive output against NC State. Good news for Tennessee that they're able to win that game, pull away behind, Zakai Ziegler, Josiah-Jordan James. Then he comes out tonight and only has 6 points. So some low-scoring totals for him after, what he's been able to do first half of the season or first half of non-conference play. But, Rick Barnes was asked about that. Didn't seem, obviously, too concerned about that. He said it, and Santiago Vescovi said it as well. Maybe the slump is kind of credited to the fact that he's playing at a new level, for the first time after being at Northern Colorado. He's preparing to get into SEC play, where in a couple weeks here it's going to get a lot harder. But he's kind of adjusting to that game. He's adjusting to the physicality of the game, and Rick Barnes was adamant saying that he doesn't have to have 18, 20 points a game, to be successful for this team. It's doing other things right. I know Rick Barnes has talked a lot about him on the defensive end and how adjusting to that and playing better there, but also making assists, getting passes, things like that. Seems to think that's obviously going to come in time with him, but right now, I think Rick Barnes said it best, that it's kind of about him finding out how to contribute in other ways besides scoring, and obviously something he's had to do the last couple games.
And for Dalton, it doesn't even have to be an assist that shows up in the stat sheet. Barnes talked about how those hockey assists count too. Just being able to continue to move the ball around the perimeter and find open guys, even if he's not the last pass before the shot. They just want to see him maybe a little bit more involved in the offense. Leading the way in scoring tonight, though, is going to be Zakai Ziegler. Another good game for him. He has 13 points, Santiago Vescovi 12 points, and then Josiah-Jordan James 10 points. Add 5 assists for the backcourt of Zakai and Santi as well. And it was a decent offensive night from them. Still some shooting issues, though. They reached those points on maybe not the best field goal percentages. Zakai 4 for 8, you'll take that. 1 for 4 from 3, 3 for 9 for Vescovi, though, and then 3 for 13 for Josiah. So he's effective enough to get to 10 points, helps in other ways. He brings down 10 rebounds for a double-double. So a good game from him, but maybe you want to see him be a little bit more efficient. 2 for 8 shooting from 3 for him. A positive, though, on the defensive end, which Rick Barnes said he was really happy with the defensive effort today. Looking at the three-point percentage for Tarleton State, 9.1 on 22 attempts, 2 for 22 shooting. So if you want a positive to take away from this game, Tennessee's defense still looks elite. And Vescovi talked about how sometimes your offense doesn't travel where your defense can always travel. It's just kind of about effort and aggression and being in the right spot. So Tennessee, we know they have a great defense. That was on display again tonight. And I mean, you hold the team to 46 points. That's not a big total either. So I think you take away some positives from the defense. At the kind of core of this defense, the guys who erase the mistakes, the 2 centers, Jonas Adu, Tobe Awaka. What are your thoughts on kind of the way they've progressed so far this season?
Yeah, Jonas, we talk about Dalton, a guy who's obviously played really well this season up until the last couple of games. Jonas is kind of in that same boat, he playing his best basketball as well. His scoring average is already above what he averaged last season. He's played, been pretty consistent down low, but and I know he's coming off kind of an illness against NC State, but wasn't that effective there. And then tonight, seeing where he finished at, 7 points. So yeah, so he's starting to, you know, maybe come back down to earth a little bit too. And Rick Barnes was asked about Tobe Awaka getting more minutes in late games, because this was a 6-point game before that 15-2 run for Tennessee, and it was critical to come up with some big plays down low. Tobe Awaka has provided that in the last 2 games, and you know, Rick Barnes kind of provided some insight into that. You know, he knows, and kind of everybody knows, that Tobe Awaka is a lot stronger than Jonas Adu, and that's something that Jonas is going to have to adjust to. Played a physical team tonight, going to be playing a lot of physical teams here coming up in SEC play. Again, not something that you know, seems to be a worry for anybody right now, but definitely something that Jonas is going to have to get better at. And Tobe right now is providing that kind of that physicality and that strength late in games.
So this is it for Tennessee men's basketball in 2023. Next time we see them will be after the New Year's in a final out-of-conference game before getting conference play started. So Tennessee kind of had a crucial stretch right now to make sure you're up to date on everything involving the program, the women's basketball program, the football team, as they head to Orlando very soon to get this Citrus Bowl going. Make sure you head over to VolReport.com for all of our written content. Hop in the message board. We've got great discussion over in there. Links to everything you need is in the description. And thank you for watching.